So hello and welcome to an in-depth conversation with CEO of Philadelphia250, Danielle DiLeo Kim, as part of World Heritage Week organized by Global Philadelphia Association. Jasmine Sessoms, Senior Vice President of Hillco Redevelopment Partners, that is working to create a new wave of opportunities for Philadelphia, will be leading the conversation with Danielle. To talk a little bit about World Heritage Week, it is a week-long celebration that Global Philadelphia organizes to celebrate the World Heritage City designation of Philadelphia. We are the first World Heritage City in Philadelphia in the US, which is a very big and major deal, and we'd like to honor that with a week-long of celebrations. If you're interested in further programming, we've had some earlier this week, and we have a couple more coming up later in the week. You can go to globalphiladelphiaassociation.org, and you can see more of our lineup there. All right, and I just wanted to give a quick overview of Philadelphia250. Of course, you'll get a more in-depth view of it later in this conversation. But in 2026, the country will be celebrating the 250th anniversary of American independence. Philadelphia250 is a nonprofit organization recognized by the City of Philadelphia to coordinate and lead the city's plans for the 25th anniversary. Philadelphia250 is leading a grassroots community source anniversary that invites people of Philadelphia to shape the program and experience that will serve the city's legacy for the 250th and create a stronger, more equitable Philadelphia in 2026 and beyond. And I would like to now hand it over to Jasmine Sessoms and Danielle DiLeo Kim.
Thank you so much, Gary. I really appreciate it. Like Gary said, I'm Jasmine Sessoms, and I do work at Hillco Redevelopment Partners, which I love. We are transforming the city, but I'm also a really proud board member of Philadelphia250. And I get to watch Danielle in action monthly, weekly, and daily. So I'm so excited that I was asked to moderate this conversation. Danielle, you ready to have some fun?
Yes, absolutely. Hi, everyone.
Right. So let's start. Danielle, can you begin by sharing why the 250th anniversary of signing the Declaration of Independence would be so important? Why do we care?
Well, these anniversaries only happen every 50 years. So these big milestone anniversaries, it's a really once in a generation opportunity for the country and the citizens and residents of Philadelphia to take a moment and celebrate the outstanding achievements that this country has achieved in the past, and also to take a moment and acknowledge and reflect and really have discussions about how far we still have to go to remove longstanding injustices that many people face in our city today, in particular, in the birthplace of American democracy. So we think it's a tremendous opportunity and milestone for the city to recognize that it can really be an accelerator to ignite the citizens and the residents of Philadelphia, the people of Philadelphia, to really think about the future of where we want to be as a city and a country.
You know, Danielle, as a board member, I've always marveled at, yes, we are celebrating the independence of our country, but you've always balanced that with acknowledging that everyone might not be excited about that, right? And that we still just have so far to go. You know, as Juneteenth comes up, you've always been so very mindful of that. And I think that is what sets you apart from most, where it's easier to push that to the side. So I just want to call that out of thank you for always acknowledging that of some people aren't excited, but we're going to try to be inclusive and equitable in the celebrations. So you kind of touched on it, but tell us a little bit more. What role should Philadelphia play in this?
Right. So as I said, Philadelphia has always played a significant role in past anniversaries, starting as early as 1876 with the 100th anniversary, the Centennial. The Centennial exhibition took place in West Fairmount Park. And So the park itself was a major destination, and Memorial Hall was built to serve as an art exhibition location, and then it became the birthplace of the Philadelphia Museum of Art. So the Philadelphia Museum of Art actually celebrates 150 years in 2026 as well as an institution. Similarly, 1926 was a really important date for the city. It was the 150th anniversary of the country. And Philadelphia also hosted a 6-month exhibition in South Philadelphia in FDR Park. And that park was completed and finished for that date itself. And additionally, the Benjamin Franklin Bridge was built on July 1st, 1926. So, the city and the country mark these anniversaries with significant legacy projects, significant infrastructure or buildings or monuments. And then when we got to 1976, the recognition of the anniversary was more distributed across the country, but Philadelphia still made significant investments for legacy projects, those being in particular the African American Museum of Philadelphia. It was the first city-sponsored African American museum in the country, built by Philadelphia in 1976. The Mann Center was also constructed in 1976, the Love Statue, the Clothespin Statue. So, we've always played a significant role. And this time in 2026, we've been designated by the Federal Commission to be a national host city. So we will be the premier host city. There will be local, regional, state, national, and hopefully international events happening in Philadelphia in and around the summer of 2026. It's really going to bring unparalleled media attention and economic opportunity for our city. Just the social media alone will be tremendous for promoting Philadelphia globally. So, we really see this as an opportunity to be on the world stage, be on the national stage, and then also, get our citizens truly invested in this moment, and allow there to be true, open civic dialogue and civic action around how to be more engaged in our democracy as citizens of this city and country, and then to think about what we want to leave behind for the future as well.
Well, Danielle, that's a huge responsibility. When do you sleep? Just ask.
I know. Well, we're all working hard, including the board members too, Jasmine. So agreed. And there are many, many partners working on this. I definitely want to acknowledge that as well. It's certainly not just Philadelphia250.
So let's talk about Philadelphia250. What is kind of like the design concept? How are we going to celebrate? What are we coordinating? Tell the people.
Sure. So we have been recognized by the city to help coordinate and lead all the vast stakeholders and actors and individuals, corporations who want to be part of and are absolutely invited to be central to the commemoration in 2026. And we've taken that really seriously to heart. And our tagline of our logo is "By the people, for all people." And I think it's easy to kind of brush that off, saying, "Oh, that's a famous quote that Abraham Lincoln said," and "Oh, that's nice." But we actually use it as our operating principles. So when we mean "by the people," it's really about placing ownership of the ideas, ownership of how the messaging, the means of which we're going to recognize and produce events in the hands of the people of Philadelphia, which I think is a real kind of paradigm shift to how certainly the big events I mentioned in the past were planned. I mean, they were definitely a top-down approach where, a group of probably, very privileged white men, my guess would be, decided there was going to be an exhibition in Philadelphia for 6 months, and this is what it would look like. We are being incredibly responsive to the community zeitgeist today, to use a little bit of a wonky word, but like that citizens and people of Philadelphia expect to be included, expect to be, as what you do every day at Hilco, right? I mean, community members want to have a voice in what is happening in and around their neighborhoods, why it's happening, and what their role is in that. So we take that very seriously. And, for example, we just, before I jump to an example, our approach is really also to be citywide. And so not just community source, but we are committed to making the experiences leading up to 2026 something that happens across the city. So really neighborhood based, to really showcase the breadth and diversity, the cultural and heritage diversity, of our neighborhoods to really highlight that and to drive new audiences, even local audiences, to places they may not have gone to in Philadelphia before, and to promote there to be events and activities, to have small businesses participate with services and special offerings in their perhaps restaurants and shops. So we really want this to be a citywide grassroots experience and approach to 2026.
That's amazing. Are there any partners that you want to shout out or call out?
Absolutely. So, I definitely want to recognize that as a coordinator, we're really asked to bring together all of the experts already who sometimes every day celebrate the 4th of July. Like I think I see Cindy McLeod on our call here as the superintendent of Independence National Historical Park. And she, every day for her is the 4th of July. So she, when you think about it, so NPS, certainly National Park Service is a huge partner in terms of the historical narrative. Welcome America will be still putting on, if I'm sure, like the best fireworks display one could ever expect for the 4th of July. And they'll be doing their Wawa Welcome America celebration. And Visit Philly, the CVB will be promoting the city both nationally and internationally. And then the museums really are the experts in terms of content. The Art Museum, the Museum of the American Revolution, the African American Museum. I know they're all actively planning exhibits for 2026 with their own particular unique lens and collections. And what we're hoping is that everyone can be unified around this kind of approach that is rooted in equity and fairness and listening to the people and having as many accessible programs, as many free programs as possible so that people can truly participate in the fullest extent.
So Danielle, we talked a little bit earlier about kind of like sometimes diversity and equity can be an issue, right? And how are we really being inclusive? How are we making sure that the events that we're planning reflects the diversity in our city? Philadelphia is a city that is 45% Black and brown people. So how are we making sure that those people are included in the celebration?
Great. That's a great question. Well, we're still in what I would call our strategic planning phase through the end of this year. And when doing that, it's requiring a lot of listening. So we've engaged a diversity, equity, inclusion, access consultant who has been working with us for a year now and has been conducting many external listening sessions with very diverse identities and communities, particularly historically marginalized identities and communities across the city, to understand from them, what are your hopes, dreams, concerns? What does the 250th mean to you? He's written a report with a ton of recommendations that we need to review and then start to operationalize into the way we approach our programs, the way we approach our partners. And we've been receiving that feedback ongoing. So it's not like we haven't been hearing it all along the way. So that's really core to us, because in this, as we really lock down what our Philadelphia 250's programs will be and the programs that we will do with our partners, we want to make sure those are grounded and rooted in feedback that we've been hearing from the broader diverse communities of Black and brown folks, and Native folks as well. And also, I just spent yesterday with the Special Olympics team. So looking at folks who have, different disabilities or differences in their cognitive or physical states. And then also, of course, LGBTQ and anyone who has, who feels in any way not been centered in a traditional narrative. So we've been doing a lot of that. And then in a specific tangible example, we just concluded a public open call for ideas for legacy projects for 2026. And that ran from February 16th through May 20th. We received 77 full submissions from people from all over the city. And we had outreach coordinators specifically in West and North Philadelphia. We did a lot of canvassing in certain zip codes that we thought might not find out about the call for ideas. We had a whole sense of a strong media push that was done as well. So when we see that in the submissions that came through, that they're truly from individuals, organizations, with really bold, interesting ideas for what they recommend Philadelphia leave behind for 2026. So I think right now we're on a good path to listening and responding to what the community needs, but we're always open to doing a better job of that. And if anyone has suggestions, I'm all ears for how we can continue to do that in a better way.
And I would be remiss as a board member not to ask, like, if you want to, as a corporation, kind of get involved or have a big idea, how would that go? How could we engage in that?
Right. So our initiative, Leave a Legacy, this year is focused on this call for ideas from the public. Starting next year in 2023 and going through 2026, we are going to start reaching out to corporations like Hilco and universities and other businesses around town and nonprofits to say, what strategic initiative are you specifically working on for 2026? That in some cases might already be part of your strategic plan. We all know businesses have 5 and 10-year plans. We're now about 3.5 years out. So we're gonna start asking corporations and companies to make pledges for a legacy that they would like to see accomplished, that they're committed to doing by 2026. And I mean, I know of a few organizations that I've already started talking with about this. So I know that there are some pledges out there about like, oh, we're going to have 250 such and suches by 250. I don't want to call anyone out yet because it's not public, but some really exciting things. So our idea, one of the things that we're working towards at Philadelphia250 is in 2026 to have a catalog and a showcase of the collective impact that Philadelphians, individuals, corporations, businesses, nonprofits, community groups have been working on and have completed and had an impact for by 2026. And we think this is probably the first like city effort that's ever been done at this scale to like collectively look across sector about what has been accomplished for a milestone anniversary such as this. And that's what we hope to put on the stage in 2026 as well, in addition to all of the activities and the kind of fun programming that people expect there to be.
Well, can you share one cool idea that kind of came in so far? It's totally fine if you can't, but I'm newsy like that. I want to know what came in. Tell me.
We've got a breadth of projects that have come in. There have been a lot of projects around youth, as you would expect,
of course,
and a lot of recreational projects around youth. So either playground spaces or after school programs for youth, some of which are already in existence that want to scale up or like go deeper into the neighborhood and offer additional programming in addition to just recreation. There's a proposal around solar energy on existing row homes, a number of proposals looking at the existing row homes in Philadelphia and how to make them better. There's a proposal around disability improvements in the city of Philadelphia and what do we need to do around improving access for education and employment, specifically for people with disabilities. So there are also some museums have put in like specific exhibits that they'd like to see done that would have curriculum that last beyond 2026. There's some projects around like improvements to some of our parks and public spaces around the city as well. So I actually don't know. I think a majority of them are more program and service oriented, less on the capital side, but there's definitely both of those types of projects. And our plan is that the selection committee is reviewing all of the proposals for the next 2 weeks. And then we will be announcing a group of semifinalists at an event on June 28th, which everyone on this call is welcome to join us. It's a public event. It's part of Wawa Welcome America's calendar at 10 a.m. at Smith Memorial Playground. We will be announcing the semifinalist teams who will continue to develop their legacy project ideas with us. They'll receive a stipend at that, a stipend check at that event. And then those projects will continue to incubate their ideas and develop their ideas from August through November through an incubation program that we've developed with the LaSalle Nonprofit Center and eConsult Solutions, and another really great space that I can't announce right yet, but it's very cutting edge and entrepreneurial, in which we'll host all of those sessions. And then we'll have a final expo and celebration at the end of 2022, announcing the finalists. So from the semifinalists, there will be a finalist group. And that'll also be a public event in which people can come and see the ideas that have been proposed and how the projects have matured, and then how we will continue to work with them and attract funding and develop the projects through the remaining years as we get to 2026.
Well, that's exciting. 2026 can't get here soon enough.
Yes, it can. I need some time. Yeah.
You're like, slow down. It's probably coming too fast for you, right?
Slow down.
You know, it is World Heritage Week. So how are we pulling global element into Philadelphia? Right.
So I definitely see us working very closely with the Global Philadelphia Association, the hosts of this call today, and World Heritage Week. Zabet T. Luxing, who's the executive director of GPA, also sits on the Philadelphia 250 board. So we've got that connection that we will definitely leverage. And, you know, the one thing we should definitely point out, and we're celebrating World Heritage Week, Philadelphia is a World Heritage city. And we have an opportunity, and I know Zabet does this every day, to continue to promote, you know, Philadelphia to international visitors to come here in 2026, to be part of that sisterhood of World Heritage cities, and to highlight why we have that status. Our status is really because of Independence National Historical, Independence Hall itself, and then the area around it is why we have that status. But the city has so much heritage to celebrate as well. And one of our signature programs that Philadelphia 250, in addition to Leave a Legacy, is working on is called Share Your Stories. And I think that this program pillar will be the pillar in which we can start to connect to the stories of our immigrant communities, the various cultural neighborhoods around the city, and start to center their voices and their untold and undertold stories into the American narrative. So we'll be working with partners who already do an excellent job of like lifting up those stories, and we'll start to work with those partners and incorporate those, particularly making sure we have those kinds of events happening in 2026. So still working on that, but it's central to one of our core, which is sharing diverse stories.
Well, Danielle, that's amazing. I have one final question before we open it up for everyone else to ask you questions, because I've been doing a lot of talking. What does success look like? What would success look like for 2026 and Philly 250?
Well, in order for us to feel successful, we really want to be defined by the breadth of our reach and the depth of our impact. So specifically, we want to make sure that there have been a tremendous number of opportunities and experiences starting now and through 2026 that have available for civic engagement. We want to make sure that all Philadelphians have felt represented, respected, and included. And then, you know, as it relates to our own organization, you know, the signature programs that we're working on, Leave a Legacy, Share Your Stories, and our final one called Dare to Declare, you know, we want those to be successful. And Dare to Declare is an opportunity for people to make a statement about what type of action they're taking today and how they want to get involved, and what they want to see the city, how they want to see the city change by 2026. So I think we'd be successful if we are, you know, truly we inspire the world by our people's passions, their histories, and our capacity to create change.
I love that. Danielle, I actually told a small fib. I have one question that I know isn't prepared, but
yeah, that's fine.
how did you become the ED of Philadelphia 250? What's your story?
Sure. So it's kind of it seems like a loopy path, but it actually goes right back to the beginning. So my professional background and educational background and experience is architecture and urban planning. I've have an architecture degree and an urban design degree. I've been in Philadelphia for, oh my gosh, 25 years now. And so nearly all of my professional work has been in and around the city. And each year I always wanted to work on projects that were bigger than the building. Like I was always interested in like, well, why does the building need to go on that site? And what's across the street? And what happened here before? And how are the people going to get here? And, how should the building be oriented based on the sun? And all those kinds of factors about like site and context and people and place were what really interested me. So I started kind of working on bigger and larger projects. And one of the earliest master plans that I ever did as a early urban planner was the Centennial District Master Plan. And I worked on that in 2005. And that was supposed to be a 20-year plan that would culminate in 2026. So little did I know that I would be working on something that would bring us back around to 2026. So that plan, as all master plans do, you put together these very long processes, you think about all different factors that go into it, you look at things about how they would be phased over years, you listen to community feedback, and then 20% of what you recommend happens. And as you'll probably realize, Jasmine, working on a giant master plan, but without that initial framework, you can't like even take the first step. So and then as it should, the plan evolves, new players and new actors come in, and things develop over time. So the Centennial District is not complete. I know they're still working on how to like activate that fully, how to deal with infrastructure and landscape and driving audiences over there. But certainly some of the things that we initially put in there did happen. I spent a number of years at the City Planning Commission. I've worked on waterfront plans. I worked on the city's citywide vision plan 2035, which was looking at where should the city be in 2035. So even farther out than what we're talking about right now. So I always have enjoyed working on aspirational plans that involve a lot of stakeholders, that require a lot of systems, thinking about deadlines and resources on how to get there. So this seemed like I was actually tapped a number of years ago to get involved with this project because of my reputation in doing that. And then I started as a consultant, and then the board asked me to become the executive director about 2 years into that. And I've been the executive director since 2019. Sorry, that was a long answer.
It wasn't, but it all connects back.
Yes.
To your point, you have been prepared to take the helm of this organization and really create this amazing experience for our city that we all love, right?
I hope so.
Well, okay, I want to open it up for any questions from the audience. Let me put my glasses back on. I am fairly blind without it. Pearl, thank you. She said, absolutely awesome. And congratulations to you, Danielle. You are the best person to do this work. Sabeth, I agree.
Oh, that's nice. Thank you, Sabeth.
All right, let's see. I am so bad at chats and I just miss being in person. Okay. Gary, did you unmute?
Yes, I would love to jump in. And
Please.
Danielle, thank you so much for sharing everything. I think we're really excited for 26. I think we know how we can get involved more, but I'd like to flip the script a little bit and ask Jasmine, as a board member of Philadelphia 250, how do you get involved and what are you most looking forward to?
Gary, that's a really good question. Let's see. So as a board member, the first thing that attracted it to me to Philadelphia 250, I always knew that it was going on prior to working at Hillco. I used to work at Community College of Philadelphia, and they'll play a larger role as an anchor institution. But I love Philadelphia. I work all across our country. I work on 9 different projects, but I absolutely love Philadelphia. I'm a South Philadelphia girl. I still live in Philadelphia. My husband's from Philadelphia. Like, I am homegrown in love with Philadelphia, and the celebration of 250 and Danielle is just to her point, she's just so well positioned. But I am also, which I cannot get away from, a Black woman. And when we talk about the independence of America or signing of a constitution, we're excited, right? But there's still that pang there of like, well, not everyone was free, right? When our forefathers signed those constitution documents, not everyone was free. I remember talking to Danielle, and she is the same here as she is in the board meetings, or even if you're just on a one-on-one Zoom with her, she is the same way. And she talked about equity and wanting to be diverse. And even in our board meetings, we bring that up, and there is an intentionality around how are we creating a welcoming, equitable, diverse environment. Gary, that doesn't happen. You know what I mean? People don't think about that. They just think, okay, we're going to celebrate America. Philadelphia is the birthplace. We're going. But Danielle, when I first met her, she really talked about the wraparound and what does that mean for all citizens, not just certain citizens, not just Center City, but as you can see, she mentioned West Philly, she mentioned North Philadelphia. Those are oftentimes forgot, but from the first conversation, Danielle included them. So I was like, sign me up. I want to be a part. How can I help? And I just think that is such a unique position to sit. And that's such a unique vision to have. And so I'm happy to support Danielle. I'm happy to support Philadelphia250. So that's why I like to lend my time and talent and energy to the board.
Jasmine, thank you for that. I think that's a very important piece to make sure that everyone is very included in the celebration to the deepest extent. And we do have a checkered history in America, but it really is great to see that you and Danielle are making sure that the celebration includes everyone and take special care with that as well.
Thank you, Gary. Well, I know that you want to talk about Global Heritage Week because you guys have some exciting things coming up.
Yes. All right. So as we said earlier, this is a part of World Heritage Week. World Heritage Week is a week-long celebration of events that Global Philadelphia hosts. And so this is a major event. We're very excited to have this conversation. We also have an event coming up later tonight with Akana. They'll be doing a lecture on the bicentennial of the Liberian Liberation. That is going to be a virtual and in-person event at the Lincoln Graduation Center. It's going to be a really great event. Then Thursday, we have an SDG unveiling. We have a SDG campaign at Global Philadelphia where we create murals with Philadelphia artists, and then we post them around the city for public viewing, just to show that Philadelphia is, in fact, working towards being a sustainable city and contributing to the SDG goals from the UN. And then Friday, we have a little highlight video of the National Historic Landmarks of Philadelphia. Because Philadelphia has 67 National Historic Landmarks that are very important. They add to the history of the city and the world. So we like to highlight that as well. And as I said, you can check out the full lineup on globalphiladelphia.org. But I just wanted to thank both of you, Jasmine, for having a great conversation with Danielle. This has been very helpful. I think we're all very excited for the 26th. And I think this is going to be an amazing opportunity for Philadelphia to kind of showcase the history here and what we can do in the world as well. So thank you so much.
Thank you
for having us.
Yeah, it was a pleasure. It was a pleasure. Thank you.
All right, I hope everyone has a good rest of your day. We're going to end this just a little bit early, but feel free to also check out Philadelphia250's website and see if you can get involved there as well.
Yes, absolutely. Philadelphia250.us is our website.
Great. Thank you all so much. Take care.
Thank you.